Kindly stand up, everyone, for our prayer to be led by the reading. Amen. Good morning, class. Please remain standing for our energizer.
I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. Alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. Alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic.
Okay, thank you, class. Is everybody present today? I can see vacant chairs over there. Class monitor, please check the attendance and submit it to me. Do we have an assignment? Okay. Pass your papers to the front silently. The count of 10, 9, 8, and 1. Before we proceed to our new lesson, who can still recall our last lesson, last meeting? Okay, very good. Our last lesson is all about inheritance and variation. So, for us today, our objectives for our new lessons are: number 1, differentiate living things from non-living things by completing the table. Number 2, classify or group objects into living and non-living things. And number 3, identify characteristics of living things and non-living things. So, our new lesson for today is characterize living things and non-living things. So, as of now, I will group you into 4 and we will do some activities. Group 1 here, group 2 here, group 3 here, and group 4 there. With your group, identify the following things given below if it is living things or non-living things and classify their different uses. Present output to the class. Picture number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. And answer the following questions. What is the interaction between living things and non-living things? How do living things depend on each other to survive? I will give you 5 minutes to do the activity. Okay, well done. Give 5 claps for yourself. So the answer is answer number 1. The interactions between living things and their non-living environment makes up total ecosystem. Understanding any one part of it requires knowledge of how the part interacts with others. And answer number 2. All living things depend on their environment to supply them with what they need, including food, water, and shelter. So let us now proceed to the next activity. Activity 1. Living things or non-living things. Procedure. Number 1. Give at least 5 things that you can see in the environment. Number 2. Does it grow or change? Number 3. Does it need for water and air? Number 4. Identify if it is a living thing or non-living thing. And complete the table below. And answer the following questions. Number 1. What are the importance of basic needs to all living things? Number 2. Do living things affect non-living things? Number 3. How do living things differ from non-living? And lastly, number 4. What makes living organisms different to one another? Okay, very good. All of you got the correct answer. For answer number 1, the non-living things in the environment such as sunshine, temperature, water, and soil interact with these living things. An ecosystem, living beings are interrelated. This suggests that living creatures as well as non-living things rely on their interactions for survival. And for answer number 2, in order to survive, all living things need air, water, and food. Animals obtain their food from plants and other animals, which provides them with the energy they need to move and grow. And for answer number 3, because of non-living entities do not have activities, do not require energy. Living things multiply and grow. Non-living things do not have the ability to grow, reproduce, or die. Another feature of living beings is their ability to move. And for answer number 4, like plants, all living things have the capacity for growth. The ability to reproduce is another characteristic of living things. Many organisms reproduce sexuality. And let's proceed to the next discussion. The following resources will help you to learn more about the subject: living things and non-living things. We can find many things around us, from mountains and oceans to plants and animals. The earth in which we live is made up of several things. These things can be categorized into two different types: living things and non-living things. All living things breathe, eat, grow, move, reproduce, and have senses. Non-living things do not eat, grow, breathe, move, and reproduce. They do not have senses. Living things have life, though some might not show its evident signs. For instance, a tree would probably not react the same way a human would. It would not react when we hit it, and it might not be able to walk around. Though the signs of life displayed by them are not very observable, it does not make them non-living. Living things. Living things exist and are alive and are made of microscopic structures called cells. They grow and exhibit movement or locomotion. They experience metabolism, which includes anabolic and catabolic reactions. Okay, are you still listening, class? Very good. Who can give me an example of living things? Okay, you, Alice, you're raising your hand. Very good. An example of living things are animals, birds, insects, and human beings. The following are the important characteristics of living things. Living things exhibit locomotory motion. They move. Animals able to move as they possess specialized locomotory organs. For example, earthworms move through the soil surface through longitudinal and circular muscles. Plants move in order to catch sunlight for photosynthesis. Living things respire. Respiration is a chemical reaction which occurs inside the cells to release energy from the food. Transport of gases takes place. The food that is ingested through the process of the digestion is broken down to release energy that is utilized by the body to produce water, carbon dioxide as byproducts. Living things are sensitive to touch and other stimuli as well, and have a capability to sense changes in their environment. Next, they grow. Living things mature and grow through different stages of development. One of the strictly features is that living things are capable of producing offspring of their own through the process of reproduction, wherein genetic information is passed from the parents to the offspring. They acquire and fulfill their nutritional requirements to survive through the process of nutrition and digestion, which involves engulfing and digesting the food. Some living organisms are also autotrophic, which means they can harness the sun's energy to make their food, also known as autotrophs. The digested food is eliminated from the body through the process of excretion. And the next is the non-living things. Non-living things are not alive. They do not possess life. They do not have cells and do not grow or show locomotions or movement. They do not undergo metabolism with anabolic and catabolic reactions. They do not reproduce. Non-living things do not have a lifespan. They do not respire and they do not require food for energy and hence do not excrete. They do not fall into any cycle of birth, growth, or death. They are created and destroyed by external forces. Can you give me an example of non-living things, Erwin? Exactly. Examples of non-living things include stone, pen, book, cycle, bottle, and etc. Shall we proceed to our next lesson? Characteristic of non-living things. The important characteristics of non-living things are mentioned below. They do not have definite or certain size of their own. They take shape of the substance they are contained in. For example, a liquid takes the shape of its container. Stones, rocks, and boulders are molded by the changing environment and landscape. The change in the state of a non-living is due to an external influence. Non-living things are lifeless. They do not have cells, and there is no protoplasm which forms the basic for life to exist. Lack of protoplasm means no metabolic activities. Fundamental life processes such as reproduction, nutrition, excretion, etc. are absent in non-living things. Are you still listening, class? Very good. So let us continue. Non-living things grow by the accretion. It occurs when adding materials externally. For example, a snowball may increase in size due to the accumulation of smaller units of its own to its outer space. Non-living things never die as they do not have cells with a definite lifespan. Immortality is a distinguishing factor. To further elaborate your knowledge about living things or non-living things, do the following activities. Give at least 5 living things or non-living things, then explain what are their main similarities. List of living things or non-living things. Then, what are the main similarities between living and non-living things? Then answer the one questions. What are the non-living things that can be useful to people? Give at least 5 examples and explain. I will give you 8 minutes to do the activity. And for your evaluation, answer the following questions. What is an example of living thing? A. Dog. B. Chair. C. Watch. D. Glass. Number 2. The following are non-living things except A. Clothes. B. Teacher. C. Sleeper. D. Leaves. And number 3. What living thing can be harmful to people? A. Snake. B. Fish. C. Rabbit. D. All of the above. And for number 4, human is an example of A. Living thing. B. Both A and B. C. Non-living thing. D. None of the above. And lastly, number 5, which of the following living things is used for writing? A. Lotion. B. Stainless. C. Pencil. D. Book. And for your assignment, Draw at least 2 living things and non-living things that are important or useful to us humans. And submit it for the next meeting. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you and God bless.